na na. Dapat Tagum Radyo Eskwela na. Na 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 na. Dapat Tagum Radyo Eskwela na.
Hello there, viewers and listeners. Welcome to our Teleradyo Eskwela Tara Na, the School on the Air program of DepEd Tagum City. We would like to thank our radio partner Hope Radio 107.1 DXHS, where we airing episodes for junior high school. Thank you for your generosity. I am your teacher host, Teresa May Sanco Bermudez. Today, you will be learning about the history, parts, and functions of a microscope, a lesson in Grade 7 Science, Quarter 2, Module 1. Come and join us as we continue our #scientific adventure. So get your modules, notebooks, and pen, and be comfortably seated in your respective homes. Now, to discuss the topic, let me give you our teacher broadcaster, Ma'am Glory Jean B. Leo.
Thank you, Ma'am Teresa May. Hello, our dear students. How are you today? We are glad because despite the pandemic, we can continue learning through our Teleradyo Eskwela. Here are our learning objectives. Toward the end of this episode, we will be able to trace the historical development of the microscope, label the parts of a compound light microscope, describe the functions of the parts of the microscope, and write an essay about the importance of the microscope in science. In the first quarter, you have dealt with matter, its classifications, and properties. Today, you will be exploring some historical milestones in the field of science. Have you ever wondered how early modern scientists discovered and understood things that are not visible with our naked eyes, such as bacteria and viruses? What do you think are the tools and devices they used? You will learn the answers as you go through this module about identifying the parts of the microscope and their corresponding functions. Let us check how much do you know about microscope by answering this question. Which of the following is not true about a microscope? A. It is a tool used to enlarge the image of a specimen. B. It gives us more details about an object being studied. C. It is an important discovery that led to advancements in science. D. Only living things can be examined under a microscope. Again, which of the following is not true about a microscope? A. It is a tool used to enlarge the image of a specimen. B. It gives us more details about an object being studied. C. It is an important discovery that led to advancement in science. D. Only living things can examine under a microscope. The correct answer is letter D. Only living things can be examined under a microscope is not true at all. Now, it's your time to answer the rest of the questions in your module. Turn in to page 2 and answer the questions in Let Us Try. I will give you 1 minute to answer. Are you ready? Then your time starts now. To check your answers, you can open the answer key found on page 18 in your module. If you got the majority of the answers correctly, then you're doing great. If don't, you may visit your answers and the questions for clarifications. You are making a great start. Let's make a bigger leap. This time, using your pen and paper, list down 10 objects that are too small to be clearly seen in your unaided eyes. Here are some examples of very small objects that are difficult to see with the naked eyes. The tip of the hair, a pollen grain, stomata in a leaf, the surface of the teeth, and etc. Have you ever wondered how they look in a larger view? How do scientists know what is inside a bacterium? Or what structures are found inside a dikya or a jellyfish? How do you think scientists are able to visualize these things? Let's take a closer look at this valuable tool called microscope. A microscope is a tool that is used to enlarge the view of a very, very small object or specimen to see its details clearly. Many consider the microscope as one of the advanced inventions in the field of biology. Starting with a simple tube with a very limited functions to complex one with up to 14 million times magnification, such a history of development marks a milestone in understanding the existence of various forms of life. Let us look back on how the microscope came into existence by doing the Let Us Practice, activity number 1 entitled, A Simple Lens Could Change the World, which is found on page 6 of your self-learning modules. You're going to read the text, take note of the important dates, events, and people, and answer the following questions. I will give you 1 minute to do the activity. Are you ready to trace the historical development of the microscope? Then, you may start now. To check your answers, you can open the answer key found on page 18 in your module. If you got the majority of the answers correctly, then you're doing great. If you don't, you may revisit your answers and the passage for clarifications. You are now acquainted with important scientists who have contributed to the development of the microscope. At this point, we'll get to know the parts of a microscope and their corresponding functions. Turn in to page 8 of your module, and here is a photo of a compound light microscope with labels in jumbled letters. You are going to arrange these letters to label each part correctly. The function of each part is also given to help you properly identify the labels. Then, write your answers in your answer sheets. I will give you 1 minute to do this activity. You may start now. Let us check now your answers. For number 1, the scrambled word points to the tube on the upper part of the microscope. This part of the microscope is called eyepiece. It is also called an ocular lens. The eyepiece is where the user looks through to see the specimen. For number 2, the answer is body tube, which connects the eyepiece to the objective lenses. For number 3, the answer is coarse adjustment knob. It's the first knob you should use. This moves the body tube up and down. For number 4, the answer is a fine adjustment knob, which is the second knob you should use under high power objective or HPO. This gives a more focused image. For item number 5, the answer is arm, which connects the body tube to the base of the microscope. For item number 6, the answer is revolving or rotating nosepiece. It is where the objective lenses are attached. For number 7, the answer is the scanner objective, which contains lenses that magnify objects up to 4 times magnification. For number 8, the answer is low power objective, which contains lenses that magnify objects up to 10 times. For number 9, the answer is high power objective, which contains lenses that magnify objects up to 40 times. And oil immersion objective, which contains lenses that magnify objects up to 100 times. For number 10, the answer is stage clips, which secures the slide on the stage. For number 11, the correct answer is diaphragm, which contains a dial that rotates to regulate the light that reaches the specimen. For number 12, the answer is stage. This is where you place the slide, which contains the specimen. For number 13, the answer is mirror. It reflects light upwards through the condenser lens and through the hole in the stage onto the specimen on the slide. Lastly, for item number 14, the correct answer is base, which supports the entire microscope. If you got the majority of the answers correctly, then you're doing great. If don't, you may revisit your answers and the questions for clarifications. Wow, you did great in answering the activities. Let's summarize the important things you have learned by answering the Let Us Remember in the module. This time, you are going to answer the historical development of microscope by summarizing how the microscopes were developed from single glass to electron microscope in your answer sheet. Can you still recall the passage in activity number 1? You may revisit the passage or read a similar passage on page 11. You may start your summary with this statement: the invention of the microscope started from. In this way, it would be easier for you to finish the summary. Next, you also need to summarize what is a microscope, its parts, and its corresponding function. I will give you 1 minute to do this activity. You may start now. Always remember that microscopes have opened many doors in science. By using microscope, scientists, researchers, and students were able to discover the existence of microorganisms, study the structure of cells, and see the smallest parts of plants, animals, and fungi. This time, let us check what you have learned. You're going to answer the questions in Let Us Assess, found on page 12 of your module. I will give you 1 minute to complete this activity. You may start now. To check your answers, you can open the answer key found on page 18 in your module. If you got the majority of answers correctly, then you're doing great. If don't, you may revisit your answers and the questions for clarifications. We are now in the last part of our lesson. At this moment, let's discuss advanced microscopes and their features. Have you heard about electron microscopes and their two types? Electron microscopes are examples of complex and advanced types of microscopes. The transmission electron microscope and the scanning electron microscope. I will give you 1 minute to complete this activity. You may begin now. Well done! You have just learned about electron microscopes. Now, it is time for you to reflect on what you have learned today. Now that you have completed our journey in the world of microscopes, let us reflect on what we have learned by answering this question. Do you agree that the microscope is one of the most important inventions in life science? Why or why not? Wow! Surely that is a great reflection. Good job, dear students. I hope you have learned an interesting lesson from our discussion today, and may this help you in your everyday life. With that, I'm glad that I was able to share significant learning with you. See you next time. Goodbye.
That was great! Thank you, Teacher Glory. That was very informative. Thank you, students, viewers, and listeners for tuning in. Hope you learned something today. For you to understand our topic further, you may do the exercises provided in your modules. You may also have an advanced study of your topics to prepare yourself for your next lesson. Please make sure to be with us next session here at School on the Air program of the Department of Education. Stay tuned for more #scientific adventures. This has been Teacher Teresa May Sanco Bermudez, your teacher host. Keep safe, everyone. Have a great day ahead.
Na 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 na, dapat Tagum